To push the world to the brink of a general war to get what they want. This is the real meaning of the events that have been taking place in Korea. What the free nations have done in Korea is right, and men all over the world know that it's right. We are expanding our armed forces very rapidly. We are speeding up the production of military equipment for our armed forces and for our allies. Let no aggressor think we are divided.
Mr. Gates.
When I was in America, I think in 1951, I was asked to do one of those Meet the Press radio television interviews. And the first question I remember being put to me by a charming lady who was had just returned from Korea and was a well-known newspaper woman was, Mr. Gateskill, we can't understand why you're still trading with the enemy. And, of course, that actually epitomized so well the United States point of view. But I said, which enemy? Are you at war with anybody? Of course, officially they weren't. But everybody, I think, in the United States felt themselves at war with China. It would be fair to say that very few people in Britain ever felt themselves at war with China.
Your Highness, gentlemen, Mr. Gateskill mentioned my name during his discussion, and I'd like to try to get into that from the American point of view. I really don't think that it is a quaint American emotional quirk to feel that when an American soldier gets killed by another soldier, that it's a sort of an international traffic accident and doesn't count much. We feel very strongly about that, and I hope to goodness we continue to feel strongly about it.
How did Prince Bernhard manage to keep everything in good order?
He was an admirable presider over the meetings. He had great dignity and authority, but he did it with good humor and charm. I think everybody felt that he was the perfect person to be the presiding officer.
Het is leuk om met die mensen samen te werken, wat ook later, moet ik zeggen, heb ik wel eens echt plezier gehad, want meneer Luns, die nodigde zichzelf uit. En wij hadden een vaste regel vanwege dat we discussies wilden hebben, dat niemand mag langer praten dan 5 minuten. Nou, het aantal keren dat ik meneer Luns kon zeggen, ga zitten, is voor mij een enorm plezier en genoegen geweest, moet ik zeggen.
Strength for the Free World. A weekly program presenting documentary evidence of the progress the free world is making towards strength through mutual security. On this foundation of greater economic and social strength, the rearmament of the Allied nations is being built. All around the world, the free peoples are uniting with America's aid to resist want and to withstand aggression.
Europe must divert from the unfinished task of building sound economies to rearm. This meant postponing, perhaps for years, the continent's hopes for full prosperity.
Mr. Van Zeeland.
We must know and be sure that all of us want to reinforce our side against the communist threat for defensive purposes. But in Europe, you will find many people who will put the question to our American friends, are you really in favor of the defensive? In other words, do we rearm mainly to win the war or mainly to avoid the war?
Sir Oliver.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I want to say this. When an American says that the problem of communism comes first, I think the great majority of people in Britain would agree with him. But when an American says that, he's saying it as a rule, as a man of action. And what he wants to know is what to do about it now. When you say it to someone in Britain, he completely agrees, but he thinks you're talking about something like the fact that the summer comes after the spring, or the autumn after the summer. It is one of the great facts of life with which we live.
It was an eye-opener to hear people in positions of responsibility discuss important issues that affected the United States and them in a very open, frank way. So I learned a lot.
Bij mij heeft Bilderberg, ik hoor tot de mensen die genezen zijn van bepaalde vooroordelen.
It is very difficult to visualize the Western alliance working effectively if the right of friends to criticize each other is not accepted as something natural and necessary and not contrary to good manners or offensive to national pride.
Today we have a similar situation when the French President Chirac said to the Americans in a public address of the television, "Where are your friends? Don't," and as friends we have to warn you, don't do it because it is a great mistake. And his speech was received as a mark of treachery by the American opinion.
I think that many of the things that some of our leaders do and say are irritating to Europeans and vice versa. And with 9/11, perhaps some of those issues have been exacerbated and are more pronounced today, and perhaps some of the leaders on both sides have played a role in that.
Tegenwoordig zou je zeggen, het is weer nodig, hè? Want soms krijg je het gevoel dat je elkaar onnodig verwijten maakt, hè? Daar zou ik niet op ingaan.
En dan kijkt hij even opzij, waar directeur Eve Brouwers van de RVD zit. Want een prins mag veel, maar nog steeds geen politieke uitspraken doen. Prins Bernhard is sinds 1976 geen voorzitter meer van de conferenties. Hij werd door de Lockheed-affaire gedwongen af te treden. Maar het instituut leeft voort en heeft op het terrein van de Atlantische betrekkingen, zoals u merkt, nog altijd werk aan de winkel. Volgens onbevestigde berichten maakte de Amerikaanse minister van Defensie Rumsfeld als gast van Bilderberg 2 jaar geleden van de kans gebruik om vast een mogelijke oorlog in Irak te opperen. Dus wie weet kan minister van Buitenlandse Zaken Colin Powell, ook al eens te gast geweest, nog een keertje langskomen om Europa weer eens vriendelijk te stemmen. Vergeet u onze website niet, met heel wat dat we in dit half uur niet kwijt konden. Dan zien we u volgende week terug. Dan hebben we het over een typisch Nederlandse uitvinding van begin jaren 50. De TBR, tegenwoordig TBS. Er kwamen witte jassen in onze huizen van bewaring. En we gingen zware delinquenten niet alleen opsluiten, maar ook behandelen. Een paar TBS'ers van het eerste uur vertellen hun ervaringen. Volgende week dus. Dit was Andere Tijden. Terug naar de onze.